Why force yourself to outshout the competition just to get your brand noticed?
You don't have to anymore. Welcome to Copy That Speaks.
Good evening. Wow, that's kind of tough, huh? Good evening and welcome once again to Copy That Speaks. We're here with Mr. Lee Rowley. Lee, I just got to know, how are you this evening? What are you up to over there? I see you got all kinds of cool things going on.
Yeah, absolutely. We're adding some cool stuff here to the thing, and I'm just kind of playing with my sound effects pad, which is freaking out on me right now because that's just what they do. Hey, how are you doing, man?
Well, I always like when we introduce new things 30 seconds before we go live.
Of course.
Because what could possibly go right with that?
Right. Jeez, right.
That's okay, brother. That's what I love about it.
Let me see if we can do. I'll see if we can start off right.
Okay, let's go back again here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can do this or not.
OMG.
I can hear that. That's not bad. OMG.
Brittany. So, all right. Well, you know what? I'm a real big fan of self-awareness, as you know.
Sure.
And part of being self-aware for me is knowing when to shut up and let somebody else be brilliant.
Ooh.
When to shut up and let somebody else be brilliant. So
I haven't learned that yet.
Well, you know what? You shared this story with me yesterday, and you shared it again on All Natural Being last night. And I wondered if you could share the David and Goliath story as it pertains to what we're doing at Copy That Speaks and the greater Bryan and Lee metropolitan area.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. It's one, as I said the other day in the show, and you can see it now. Here's my David.
Right.
Just so you know, Lee, fully dressed, right? So I do what I can to keep the kilt down because
Right.
I don't want the people at Facebook going, oh, well, now they're into pornography. So I try to keep, his skirt down. But the story of David has always been a big one to me, and especially when I think about tonight's guest, right? How to use the tools that you have. Not how to get caught up in someone else's spin as to how life should be.
Right.
Not fall for the trappings of other people. So the story of David and Goliath, as you know, that the Goliath comes and challenges the army, and all the generals are like quaking in their, I don't know if they wore boots then, maybe sandals, whatever, but they're shivering, right? They're quaking.
Right.
They don't want to fight this guy. So finally, David gets tired of all the, the back and forth, and he goes, all right, whatever, I'll fight him. Where is he? And all the generals, their hands are shaking, and they point and go, it's that 8-foot guy out there.
Right.
And David goes, great, come on, time to mix it up. Well, the generals all jump in and go, here's my shield, here's my spear, here's my sword, here's all the other accoutrement. Here's the committee vote. Here's the static quo. Well, David goes to try it on, and he falls over. He's like tips over. He's like a weeble that wobbles and falls down. So he stands up and he goes, you know what? This is crazy. If you want to wear all this stuff, all these, all this accoutrement of war, why don't one of you generals fight him? Right? Why don't one of you tough guys get up over there and mix it up with him?
Right.
So he goes, I'm going to abandon everything that you think is right for me, and I'm going to fall back on what I know in my life. So as you know, Lee, the story is he bends over, grabs 3 smooth stones from a little brook that happens to be right there, takes a slingshot, right? I should have a sound effect of that. I don't have a whip. That might have worked, like a whip sound effect. In any event, he sends this little marble, this little stone, whatever it is, downrange, right?
Right.
Hits Goliath in the head, knocks him dead, runs up, saws off his head with one of the swords, and now we know the story of David and Goliath. So what it has always said to me, Lee, is that use what you have in the moment. Right there, something that you're accustomed with. You know what's going to happen. Use that.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And that will allow you to be like, okay, great. This is my fallback. This is what I know I can do.
Right.
I'm not worried about the committee vote. I'm not worried about how everyone else says this is how life should run.
That's right.
I know exactly what I'm capable of, and that's why that story has always meant so much to me, and I dare say why it meant so much to Michelangelo to carve the statue of David.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
there we have it. And Lee, we have a caller on the line, so let me go ahead and say hello. Good evening. Welcome to All Natural Being. Who's this?
Hi there, this is Miriam Huff.
Miriam, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing really great. How are you?
Good, thank you very much. And of course, I'm here with Mr. Lee Rowley, who's we were both just like excited, like we were running around going, "Ooh, is my shirt tucked in? How's my tie look? Everything else." Because when we knew you were coming on tonight, we were just super excited about it. So.
I'm
Just thank you so much for taking the time out to join us here on Copy That Speaks.
well. Thank you very much for talking with me. Hi, Lee.
Hi, Miriam. How are you?
I'm doing really great.
Great. Awesome. Just real quick before we dig into the meat of this, I just want to kind of explain to the new people who are listening kind of how this works. So you and I have decided beforehand that we're going to work on kind of a tagline, something for people to remember so that they can go to your site, right? And so what we're going to do over the next 20-25 minutes is we're going to really dig into your story and your passion and what led you to do what you're doing right now and what your plans are. And I'm going to be picking out information and clues as we're talking to craft this headline for you so that it resonates with you and with the people that you attract to your business. Does that sound about right?
That sounds really great.
Okay, I'm
excited.
glad that's what we discussed because we had a few other things and we just, we decided to stick with this.
Yes.
Really cool. Okay.
Fantastic. And Miriam, I should let you know that we have your logo and some of your just beautiful artwork, the wreaths by Miriam. They're up now on the site as well. But
cool.
Lee, would it be cool if it's okay with Miriam, can she give us like a quick thumbnail of her passion and why she does what she does and everything else? Is that cool with you?
Please do.
Miriam, what do you say?
Yeah.
I'm honored to know you, as I know Lee is. But for our guests, can you give them maybe a minute or two, give them an idea of what your passion is and how you got to this creative point in your life?
Well, of course.
Well, thank you.
So, correct me or pull me back if I go out on a tangent, please. Okay.
This whole show's going out on a tangent here.
Yes.
Don't you worry. Go out as far as you like. That's where the fruit is, they say, right, Miriam? The fruit is out on the limb. So go as far as you like, dear.
Well, first of all, you need to know I can't see. All I see now is light, and that has occurred in the last 4 years. And before that, I was born legally blind, but I only had tunnel vision just with one eye, and that's all I could see. The tunnel vision was about the size of a drinking straw, so if you're trying, my acuity was 20/80, so if you're trying to read through a tunnel that size, it's like 1 to 2 letters at a time. So it's a very, very small tunnel. But I was able to see enough at that time, up until the last 4 years, where I could see colors and I could see people's faces, that kind of thing. So about 2 years ago, a friend posted on Facebook a wreath that she had made, and I had always wanted to make some kind of decoration for my house with each of the seasons or maybe one of every month, but I never could figure out what exactly. I knew some kind of craft, but I didn't know exactly what. But when I saw this post, or my iPad actually read the description to me that she had made this wreath, I thought that just hit me like that's something I could possibly do. So I went and asked her about her wreath, and she gave me some descriptions about it, but there wasn't enough verbal clues for me to know exactly how to make one on my own.
Okay.
So I decided to go to YouTube and watch videos about people who make wreaths. And I wasn't able to see the videos, so I was just going on the audio, and there still wasn't enough audio description about what exactly they were doing each step of the way. And it was a little frustrating, but I decided to think up my own creation of making a wreath. So I decided I take a spool of ribbon, and I cut 6-inch strips, and then I tie each strip all the way around the wire wreath form. And there are 4 rows to each of the wreath forms. So it takes about 8 hours to make a wreath. But because I discovered how to do this, my very first wreath was the spring Easter wreath with all the 5 pastel colors.
Okay.
when I hung that on my door, I decided to post a picture on Facebook, like everybody does, of
Sure.
what I created. And my friends started asking me if they could buy one from me, if I would make one for them to buy. And I
Very
was
cool.
rather stunned. I thought it's just a wreath that I made. You know, I was just making it something for me, and
Sure.
so that's where it started. And then after that, I just started creating more holiday wreaths and occasions like seasons, like summer flowers. I have a sunflower wreath, Valentine's Day wreath. I'm even starting to get into the sports themed wreaths now.
Ooh.
So.
And you were doing
I
centerpieces,
just,
Miriam, if I can interrupt. You were doing centerpieces,
yes,
I think, as well, for like people's weddings and special occasions.
yes.
Oh, very
I
cool.
just started that last year, and last summer I did my very first wedding reception I did about 20 centerpieces for their tables, and that was a lot of fun. I think that would really be fun to start doing parties and,
Sure.
Any kind of special occasions, reunions, anniversaries, anything like that. So.
And then, Miriam, if I could, let me say that Jenny is here in the feed. Jenny from IPM Nation. She says it's absolutely gorgeous work. So she's just one of a bunch of
Well,
people that I've heard compliment your work, Miriam, just so you know, since we started talking about it.
thank you. That's just so exciting. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. And if I can ask you on a personal note before I turn you and Lee loose to figure it out, I'm fascinated by the fact that you're legally blind. And you said something to me once before when you talked about, just touching and feeling and how,
Yes.
whereas
Yes.
I did the story of David earlier. I don't know if you were listening, but, everyone in the army wanted him to fight Goliath with spears and
Yeah.
shields and helmets and everything else. But he had abandoned the status quo and went back to what he knew, right? His
Correct.
fallback was his all natural
Correct.
being. So you're doing this by sound
Yes.
and feel, and people are going, it's beautiful.
You should see. Well, at least I'll tell you. Whenever I listen to people around me, if I'm in a group of people and I'm just sitting there cutting ribbon because all I'm doing is sitting there listening, I'll pull out a spool of ribbon and I'll just start cutting it into 6-inch shapes. People around me are watching me because they're so afraid I'm going to cut my thumb with the scissors. But I know the rhythm and the method. I know exactly how to do it. And so, like, even when I do my American flag wreath, I'll
Sure.
feel the shape of the form, and then I'll just start putting the ribbon in.
Well, can I ask one other thing? You told me about something that you do from time to time when you meet someone and they come over and wave. Would it be okay just to share that little story? Because it made me smile. It put me in such a good mood. Because you don't look at any of this as a handicap. You don't look at any of this as a
No.
setback. Would you mind? Could
No.
I impose on you to tell that quick little story?
Sure, actually, it's my youngest daughter, and she will be so embarrassed, but at the same time, I think she'll be happy that I'm sharing this with everybody in the world that's listening to your podcast.
Thank you, my friend.
My youngest daughter loves to pun, and she's just hilarious, and she likes to make her friends uncomfortably comfortable about my blindness. And so a couple years ago, she would take me to the high school, and she'd introduce me to their friends, and a couple of them would wave at me, and she's like, "Did you just wave to my blind mother?" So she's just funny that way. So they learn to relax around me because we can joke about it.
Well, before I turn you over to Lee, and as I know he's got some things that he wants to ask you and say, I have to tell you that your smile just comes across over the phone lines, and you have such a great energy that when I hung up with you last, it made me,
Yeah.
on a personal aside, it made me feel, what do I have to complain about? Oh, I spilled lunch on my shirt. Oh, rush hour traffic left me an hour and a half behind. Or, you may know, oh, I had a little brain tumor, this or that. You have such a great attitude, Miriam. You have such a great energy that I found myself drawn to your message as much as the beauty of your wreaths.
There are so many worse things that could happen to you than just
Sure.
losing your sight. It's not life or death. It's just sight.
Well, my friend, it's a very
so-
powerful message and one that I
Absolutely.
simply enjoy. Lee, I can see you over there shaking and moving around and everything else. So
I'm on
why don't I
fire.
get out of the? I'll get out of the way here so you and Miriam can hang.
Yeah, I'm on fire. It's just the ideas and just it just sometimes there's just too many, and I'm trying to sort them out and discuss them with the panel of experts in my head.
How's that go?
I,
How's that go?
we never get a unanimous
No.
vote. It just
Do you get a
it's
quorum?
not going to happen.
At least a quorum most
It
times.
usually devolves into a street fight, is what happens. To be honest
Okay.
with you, but
I think
okay,
I've seen
so-
that from over here. I think I've seen the look in your
right.
eyes when it's that look right there when it's when it's a street fight. That's it. So Miriam, just imagine his eyes are as big as like a wise owl. You know, when he
here we
does
go.
that, and they go, "Oh yeah, there's a gang fight going on inside of there." All right, I'm sorry. I'll get out of the way. Lee, take it, please.
I do believe I'm coming down with a case of the vapors.
Save me from myself, please.
Okay, so Miriam, I mean, so you talked about the feel. So how does that really lead into the decisions that you're making when you're creating this art? I mean, if you'll permit me, you're an artist. I keep coming back to that word.
Okay.
And so how does that what does that process look like? I mean, what challenges do you still have that that you would like to get into, being able to create more and to create more what your vision is?
You mean like the frustrations of not being what I can't see that I wish I could do?
Well,
kind of thing?
well, yeah. Well, you had talked about like some of the categorizing and some issues like that.
Yeah,
with scaling, essentially being able
Sure.
to build it.
Right. So, if I understand you, then one of the issues that I have is when it's a lot of fun for me to create what's in my head, and to have it turn out exactly what I imagined is even more fun. But once I have created these, and I have several of these wreaths that are, when somebody wants one and I go to look for which one that is, then it's kind of frustrating that I can't just go by myself to my stash and say, oh, here it is. I have to wait for somebody to come. Is that what you're asking?
Right.
Did I miss
Exactly.
the mark?
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
just some of the more GG house, the things that people that I probably wouldn't even think of.
Right. Well, and so then it's also a matter of like navigating websites in order to find,
Okay.
to get my costs down, to be more effective, cost effective,
Sure.
That's difficult. Unless I'm familiar with a website and it's pretty simple, it's pretty hard to navigate those sites. So I've been very fortunate that I have very good friends who are always willing to help me. And one of my friends even made that graphic of my Wreaths by Miriam logo that you have that
Very
I
cool.
absolutely love. And
Yeah. It's beautiful.
I mean, I just asked her if she'd help me navigate the Etsy website, and she offered to do so much more than that, and took my pictures for me, and she designed my business card and that logo for me, and
Oh, great.
she's amazing.
Awesome.
You're welcome to give her a shout out if you like, if you want to mention who
Oh,
she is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, Amanda Wood. She is amazing.
Okay.
And then, of course, Joe Orquist helps me a ton, and I mean, I am so fortunate to have such great friends.
Awesome. One of the other things
And of course, my kids, they help me a ton.
yeah. I'm sure that is fantastic. You said you had 5?
No. I have 4 kids and 1 grandson.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the full going from 5 to 4 just makes it so much easier. I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Till you throw in the grandson.
Takes the stress right off.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, Miriam, you shared with me a little bit about some health challenges that may be
Yes.
coming up, and if you're not comfortable with going into that, you tell me to shut up. But
No,
I think this
I'm
kind of
totally
ties into your vision for your business. So,
Yes, it does.
okay.
So, really, my friend Amanda we just started really the business full swing last October. And so even though I've been making wreaths for 2 years, I'm not really pushed selling them.
Okay.
Well, what happened 2 years ago, in September, 28 months ago, is I received a second kidney transplant.
Ooh.
And so I had been on dialysis before that, so I know what dialysis looks like and feels like and is. And I am on top of the world with this new transplant. I am the healthiest I have been in, I don't know, since 2002 when I was first diagnosed with kidney failure. So it just feels like a brand new world. A whole world of opportunities has opened up to me. Well, I know, though, that at some point a transplanted kidney does stop working. There is a life limit on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that dialysis will be in the future, and I don't know how long that could be. But what I envision for this wreath business is that when that happens down the road, and it might be difficult to do dialysis because of the exhaustion and the time consumption of just doing dialysis, that if I'm not able to hold down a job, then I can still work on wreaths, because all I'm doing is sitting there and cutting and tying strips of ribbon onto a wreath form.
Right.
And it would be nice to be able to have this wreath making business bring in income. And on a side note, my second kidney came from a 16-year-old boy who was killed mistakenly. And I would love to be able to, his mother, he was 16 years old, and his mother does fundraisers for a scholarship at his high school every year. And I didn't get to tell you this partly, but last year I made a wreath for the fundraiser. His high school colors were blue and white, and so I donated a wreath for a raffle to raise money for the scholarship. But I would really like to be able to make a portion of my proceeds go to his scholarship every year.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He would have been 18 years old this year, so, you know.
Fantastic.
I would love for his life to live through me. You know, he would have been getting a job in college.
And if I can, just as the side, listen to you, everything about you is taking care of other people, right? What you want to do with the wreaths, what you want to do with, you know, that sense of introducing your feel for beauty into their lives, the centerpieces at weddings, and then to say, oh, I want to give back. But even to the point where you say, hey, if I have to go on dialysis, I don't want to be a situation where my family has to pick up the slack. So it's like you're always thinking about other people. I have to tell you, my friend, I really dig that about you. You're just always putting other people ahead of yourself, and I think it's beautiful. Just for the record. All right, Lee.
I really have a lot of friends that think so much about me and help me so much. I want to be able to give back.
God, look, that's great. That's great. All right, Lee, I see you over there scratching away. What do you got for us?
All right. Well, I can't launch into this without saying that, you know, when we originally talked, you came up with Field of Vision, and I still really dig that, Brian.
Thank you, brother.
And that's one of the reasons that I think, you know, it's such a fantastic thing that we're going to be getting into some working on some things together, and we'll get into that more later. But I absolutely love that. But here is what I ultimately came up with. And this may be a little too esoteric, I don't know. I came up, between sight and vision is art. And do you think I'd be able to do this? I've got a monitor here, so I should be.
No, you're on,
I
brother.
still can't center it up, but between sight and vision is art. And I believe, because what you're doing, not just the wreaths that you're creating, but the process, the story, the passion, the meaning, the reason is all art.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I like your idea.
Awesome.
It's truth.
Absolutely.
And it's true. And if I could ask, Marion, because if I could, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, and we're getting all kinds of love, thumbs up signals in the thread here of that.
great.
So, but can I ask you, because Lee, I never even thought like that. That's just brilliant. Can you quickly for us, Miriam? Obviously, there's a difference between sight and between vision. You might be legally blind. You might not have the sight that others have, but boy, your vision is off the charts. Can you quickly talk about the difference between the two?
Oh, me?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have to have sight to have vision. Oh, my goodness.
Right.
You can see into people's hearts and lives. I mean, well, for example, I could tell you when my kids were doing something they shouldn't do, and I didn't have to see them to know that they were doing it. And it shocked them every single time that I knew it.
Awesome. Awesome.
I believe it did. All right, Lee, I'm sorry. I just had to ask her that because I thought your tagline was brilliant yet again.
Thank you.
Jenny says here in the thread, I love it. Lee, you rock.
Thank you.
So do you have anything queued up in the voice
Yes,
thing
he
over there?
does.
He does? Okay, great. Thank you, Miriam. Hallelujah. Is that what very cool. All right, so Lee, what can we do with Miriam now so that, because I know we promised we wouldn't hold her very long or a whole lot longer. How can we, why don't you talk a little bit about of where people can find things on Miriam and what they can do to connect with her on Twitter and most certainly on Instagram as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can't see that from here, but,
Okay, well, Miriam, how about you do it
we've
then?
got,
I got it
Etsy-
backwards.
Etsy.com shop/FDR16. No, that's not.
Miriam, where can everyone get a hold of you and see your great work?
All right. My Etsy shop website is etsy.com/Wreaths by Miriam, and the W, B, and M are all capitalized.
Okay, great. Great. And you should know here in the thread that Jill James Orquist, I hope I'm saying, says she is enabled and incredible. Jill, thank you so very much for joining us. And Lee, how else can you and what are you and Miriam going to do now? You'll catch up after the fact and work on that. I thought it was a beautiful and powerful tagline. Can you show us one more time, brother?
Expand it.
Can you hold up the board one more time?
All right. We've got, see if I can remember, between sight and
vision is art.
And if you want some, how to go over how to use that in your marketing, however you want to do it, I'm happy to help give you some suggestions, ideas, point you in the right direction too. Because I would love to see you build this. I would love to see you be able to do this, part time or even full time, because it is such a powerful story.
Yeah.
And, that's why I'm just so glad you decided to be on the show. That's so cool.
And Miriam, I should tell you, we have 81 to win coming up here, which is something I'm doing. I'm going to order one so we can have a wreath here in the studio. I think it would be just fantastic. So I'll get with you offline. But thank you so much. We promised I wouldn't keep you longer than the 25 minutes. So you have been an absolute inspiration.
Can I tell you something real quick?
Please go right ahead, my friend.
I have a promo code for anybody that listens to this program or sees it online.
Yes, ma'am.
They
Look
can
at
use.
you.
Great. If you want to give the promo code, let's get it out.
Yes, it's copy 20.
Ooh.
Copy 20. And then what I'll do...
That is
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's a 20% discount.
Oh, great. Copy COPY 20. We'll go ahead and make sure that that's added into the feed. And then what we'll do is after the show, Miriam, we'll put it up with a link to your website and that code. How does that sound?
That sounds awesome. Thank
Fantastic. All right, my friend. Well, thank you for the inspiration. As Shar Fry says here in the feed, what an inspiration you truly are, and it's an absolute honor to know you.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead. Thank you so very much, Miriam, for hanging out with us this evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, Lee, so now I thank you so much for introducing Miriam and I. She was just
find the
absolute joy.
best guests or what?
We really, well, it's all on you. You're just phenomenal at how you, there's the quorum in your head look again. But she's just fantastic. I mean, after we hung up with her, and I feel the same way now, what do you got to complain about?
No,
absolutely. Oh my God, and she got into just a little bit of it, her sight and then the kidneys, and that's like 1/5 of all the things that she's had to go through. But if you'd listened to her voice, you wouldn't know it.
No.
You wouldn't know it at all. So, all right, Lee, give me a situation or give me an update as to how people can get a hold of you and what you're working on and everything else here in our closing minutes.
Oh man, okay, so we're down to like 28 seconds. Jeez.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, you know what? We know the boss.
Yeah,
we can keep you on as long as you like. We know the head guy.
Yeah, okay. So, the main hub is LeeRowley.com. That's where we've got the new copy branding coming out, and I've got a good friend of mine who is revamping the entire site for me.
Ooh.
Phenomenal guy. I've worked with him for years, and like this guy is the best of the best. So I'm stoked to see the visuals match the copy. So copy LeeRowley.com. And just closing, I really just talked about 81 to win is just becoming a reality. And in case you guys don't know, Brian is going to go for the longest continuous online radio show, something like that.
Sure.
And that entails hosting his show for 81 straight hours.
I know, right?
So it's going to be phenomenal. I'm going to be pitching a tent.
Yes.
We'll be doing some copy that speaks and stuff from here.
Yes,
I think.
yes, I would love that.
And he's doing sponsorships too. So like, dude, he'll wear your T-shirts. He'll wear your bumper sticker, whatever it is. He'll do it. Yeah, we'll put a bumper sticker on his forehead,
Right.
whatever you want.
I
man.
think it's important to note here, Lee,
So-
that I have a body for bumper stickers.
Right.
Right. So especially, with the number 25. All
Right
right.
on.
No, I'm supposed
All
to
right.
have cleared that. Lee's
So-
going to say right now.
So where can they find out more about that?
We just the hashtag is 81 to win or over
Cool.
at brianbrawdy.com. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Lee, once again, brilliant. Between sight and vision is art. Absolutely brilliant as always. That's why I love hanging out with you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Don't forget, we'll put up in the feed a link to Miriam's website and the Copy 20, which will give you 20% off. You can be just like me. You can order one. I'm going to put it up here in the studio for 81 to win. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Lee, we'll see them next week. Yes, you're going to be back next week. Is that true?
You bet your biscuits.
Good.
All right.
Yeah, very cool.
All right. Play us out, Johnny.
We're out of here. Hey, it's good to know the volume works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that volume. Oh, I forgot to talk about our new ice bucket.
Crap.
I know. Well, no, it's not a crap bucket. Oh, I don't know if you can hear me over there. It's an ice bucket. What level did you record? I have to have you record my openings. Yours is at a decent level for sure. I'll tell you that much. All right, we're out of
What
here.
a great show.
I know. You pick the best guests. We're out of here.
Like and share. Good
And
Lord,
some
just do it.
pandering to go along with the banter.
I'll
All right.
pander, I'll gravel, whatever. Get out of here.
We're out of here.
Go home.